Hi, I'm Melina. After 20 years on the bench as a family court judge, I thought I'd seen it all. But nothing prepared me for what happened 6 months ago when I agreed to go undercover to investigate corruption in our family court system. I was sitting in a small, windowless room, wearing a wig and glasses that made me look like a completely different person. My colleague Marcus sat across from me, tapping his pen against his notepad. "You ready for this, Melina? Once we start, there's no backing out," Marcus said, his deep voice carrying that authoritative tone he used when he was nervous. "I've been ready since we found those falsified reports. Kids are being placed with abusive parents because someone's getting paid off. I can't just sit by and watch." Marcus leaned forward, his brow furrowed with concern. "But what about Tara? You haven't spoken to your daughter in what, 5 years now?" I felt that familiar pang in my chest at the mention of Tara. 7 years. Not since she blamed me for her father's death and walked out. "And you're sure she won't recognize you with this disguise? Because if she does, she won't." I cut him off. "She hasn't set foot in my courtroom since she left for college. Besides, she's too busy with her fancy job at that custody evaluation firm." Diane, our team's researcher, burst into the room, her curly hair bouncing as she rushed toward us. She always moved like she was perpetually late for something. "Sorry I'm late, but you guys need to see this right now," she said, dropping a file on the table. I was digging through employee records at Fairchild Family Assessments, and guess who's been working there for the past 2 years? I flipped open the file and felt the blood drain from my face. There was Tara's employment record, her signature at the bottom of several suspicious custody evaluations we'd flagged in our investigation. "This can't be right," I whispered, my fingers tracing her signature. "Tara wouldn't be involved in something like this." Marcus crossed his arms. "Are you sure about that? When was the last time you really knew what your daughter was up to?" "Marcus!" Diane shot him a warning look. "I'm just saying people change. And from what you've told me about your relationship with Tara..." He left the sentence hanging. I slammed the file shut. "My daughter and I may have our differences, but she wouldn't deliberately hurt children. There has to be another explanation." "Well?" Diane said, pulling out another document. "According to this, she's scheduled to testify tomorrow in the Phillips case, the one where the mother mysteriously lost custody despite overwhelming evidence of the father's abuse. That's Judge Harmon's courtroom," Marcus said. "He's been on our radar, too." I stood up, steadying myself against the table. "I need to be there. I need to hear what she says." "Melina." Diane grabbed my arm, her voice gentle but firm. "What if she's knowingly involved? Are you prepared to hear that?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. It was a text from our inside source at the courthouse. "Evidence gone missing in Phillips' case. Mother devastated. Hearing tomorrow 9 a.m. I looked up at Marcus and Diane, my resolve hardening. I guess we'll find out tomorrow exactly where my daughter stands. The next morning, I sat in the back of Judge Harmon's courtroom, watching as people filed in. My heart nearly stopped when Tara walked through the door, her posture confident as she spoke with a man I recognized as James Fairchild, owner of the evaluation firm. "Remember your testimony," Fairchild was saying, his voice low but not low enough. "Stick to the report. No embellishments." Tara nodded. "I've done this before, James. I know what to say." "This case has gotten more attention than usual. That activist group is making noise about evidence tampering." Tara's eyes widened slightly. "You didn't mention anything about..." "Just stick to the script," he hissed, walking away as the bailiff called the court to order. I slipped out during the commotion and found Marcus waiting in the hallway. "Well?" he asked, eyes searching mine. "I need to hear more. Fairchild mentioned evidence tampering, and Tara seemed surprised." Marcus frowned. "That doesn't mean she's innocent, just that she might not know everything." "I need to talk to her assistant. What's his name again?" "Kyle Reynolds. He's been with the firm for 5 years, longer than Tara. If anyone knows what's going on, it's him." We found Kyle in the courthouse cafeteria, hunched over a cup of coffee. I approached him while Marcus hung back. "Mind if I join you?" I asked. Kyle looked up, not recognizing me in my disguise. Sure. I sat down. I'm Linda Matthews, investigating some concerns about Fairchild family assessments for a parent advocacy group. Kyle instantly stiffened. I don't know what you're talking about. I should go. Before you do, I said, sliding over an envelope, you might want to see these copies of altered reports. Reports that you processed. His face paled. How did you... I'm not interested in making trouble for the assistants. I want to know who's changing the evaluations after the initial interviews. Kyle glanced around nervously. Look, I just format the reports. I don't write them. But you see the originals and the finals. Who makes the changes? Is it Tara Evans? He laughed bitterly. Tara? No way. She's the only one who ever fights back. I felt a surge of hope. What do you mean? Fairchild brings her the corrections, as he calls them. Most evaluators just sign off, but she argues. Last week I heard them shouting after she refused to change her recommendation in the Phillips case. So, why did she sign the final report? Kyle looked down. Fairchild has dirt on everyone. For Tara, it's something about her dad's death. I don't know details, but whenever she pushes back too hard, he mentions her father and she falls in line. My blood ran cold. What could Fairchild possibly know about Richard's death? Before I could ask more, Kyle's phone buzzed. That's Fairchild. I have to go. One more thing, I said quickly. Does Judge Harmon know about the altered reports? Kyle's expression told me everything. Harmon doesn't just know. He tells Fairchild which cases need special attention. They meet at the Capitol Grill every Friday at 8 p.m. As he hurried away, Marcus joined me. So? We need to be at the Capitol Grill tonight, I said. And we need to talk to Diane. I think my daughter might be being blackmailed. 3 hours later, Diane confirmed my suspicions. Fairchild made 6 calls to Tara the day before Richard's accident investigation closed. There's definitely something there. So what's our next move? Marcus asked. I took a deep breath. We get evidence of their meeting tonight. Then I confront my daughter with what we know. Are you sure that's wise? Diane asked. If she's being blackmailed, she might panic. I'm not confronting her as her mother, I said, removing my wig. I'm confronting her as Judge Melina Evans. Friday evening arrived, and our plan was in motion. Marcus and Diane were at the Capitol Grill with recording equipment, while I waited in Judge Harmon's courtroom. Court had ended hours ago, but I knew from our investigation that Harmon and Fairchild often used it for private conversations after their dinners. At 9:45 p.m., I heard voices approaching. I quickly moved behind the bench where I wouldn't be immediately visible. The Phillips case is becoming a problem, Harmon said as they entered. That mother hired a new attorney who's requesting a review of all the evidence. Fairchild sighed. Tara's report was the least of our problems. It's the missing medical records that could raise flags. You told me those were taken care of, Harmon snapped. They were, but... The door opened again, and Tara walked in, looking agitated. You wanted to see me? She asked Fairchild, then froze when she saw Harmon. I didn't realize this was a meeting. We have a situation with the Phillips case, Fairchild said. Judge Harmon thinks you might have made copies of your original report. Tara's face remained carefully neutral. Why would I do that? Because you've never fully committed to our arrangement, Harmon said, stepping closer to her. James tells me you've been asking questions. I'm just trying to understand why my professional assessments keep getting overridden, Tara replied, her voice steady despite her obvious discomfort. Fairchild laughed coldly. Your professional assessments don't pay for the new courthouse wing or Judge Harmon's vacation home. Or your student loans, Harmon added. Let's not pretend you're not benefiting, too. I never asked for money, Tara said. You forced it on me and then used it to claim I was complicit. Along with the truth about your father's accident, Fairchild added smugly. How do you think the Bar Association would react knowing Judge Evans's daughter helped cover up crucial evidence? That was when I stood up, removing my glasses. I'd be very interested to hear about that evidence, Mr. Fairchild. The room went silent. Tara's eyes widened in shock. her face draining of color as she recognized me. "Mom?" she whispered. Then her expression hardened. "What is this?" "This," I said, stepping around the bench, "is an investigation into corruption in the family court system. An investigation that now includes both of you." I nodded toward Harmon and Fairchild. Harmon recovered first. "You have no authority here, Melina. This is my courtroom." "Actually," said Marcus, entering with 2 police officers, "she has exactly the authority needed, signed by the state Supreme Court." He held up a document. "We've been recording your dinner conversation, and this one too." Fairchild turned to Tara, his face contorted with rage. "You set us up!" "She didn't know," I said, "but I'd very much like to hear what you've been holding over my daughter's head." Tara stood frozen, looking between us. "He said he had evidence that I deleted Dad's text messages after the accident. Messages where Dad admitted to drinking before driving. I felt like I'd been punched." "Richard texted you before the crash?" "Yes, but I didn't delete anything. I showed the police everything. Fairchild made it up to control me after I questioned why we were targeting protective mothers." Fairchild lunged toward her. "You ungrateful little—" One of the officers grabbed him. "James Fairchild, you're under arrest for extortion, evidence tampering, and conspiracy to obstruct justice." As they read Harmon his rights as well, Tara finally looked at me. "You were investigating me? All this time?" "Not you," I said quietly. "The system. Finding you in the middle of it was—" I couldn't finish. She shook her head, tears forming. 7 years of silence, and this is how I find out my mother's been watching me? I thought you were retired and traveling. That's what everyone told me." "Tara, No," she cut me off. "I don't want to hear it. I need to talk to these officers about what I know." She walked away, leaving me standing alone in the courtroom. 3 months later, I sat in the witness stand of a different courtroom, finishing my testimony against Harmon and Fairchild. Their trial had attracted national attention, exposing corruption that extended to 3 counties and involved dozens of custody cases. As I stepped down, I passed Tara, who was scheduled to testify next. We hadn't spoken outside of necessary case discussions since that night in Harmon's courtroom. During the recess, Marcus found me in the hallway. "You did great in there. The jury was completely engaged." "Thanks," I said, distracted as I watched Tara talking with the prosecutor. "She's still not speaking to you?" I shook my head. "Only about the case." Diane joined us, tablet in hand. "The review panel has already overturned 6 custody decisions, including the Phillips case. Those kids are back with their mother now." "That's something, at least," I said. After court adjourned for the day, I was gathering my things when I heard Tara's voice. "Can we talk?" she asked, her expression unreadable. I nodded, and we found an empty conference room. "The prosecutor says they're offering Fairchild a deal to testify against the other judges involved," she said, all business. "I heard. 15 years instead of 30. She paced the room. "Still not enough for what they did to those families." "No," I agreed. "It's not." An uncomfortable silence fell between us. Finally, Tara spoke. "Why didn't you ever reach out? 7 years, Mom. 7 years of thinking you'd chosen your career over Dad, over me." "I tried, Tara. You blocked my calls, returned my letters. So you just gave up? Then decided to investigate me?" "I never gave up," I said firmly. "And I wasn't investigating you. When your name appeared in those files, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it." "But you assumed the worst," she accused. "You thought I was deliberately helping them. No, I hoped there was another explanation, and there was." Tara sank into a chair. "I should have realized something was wrong sooner. I was just so focused on proving myself, on making a difference. Then suddenly I was trapped." "Why didn't you come to me?" I asked. "Because I thought you wouldn't believe me, just like you didn't believe me about Dad's drinking." I flinched. "I did believe you. I just couldn't face it. It was easier to bury myself in work than admit I'd missed the signs." "Well," Tara said, standing up, "we both made mistakes, but that doesn't change anything between us." "Tara, please. We brought down a corrupt system together. Doesn't that count for something? That wasn't together, Mom. That was your investigation that happened to catch me in its net. She walked to the door. I'm grateful the truth came out. Those families deserved justice, but I'm not ready to forget 7 years of silence. I'm not asking you to forget, I said. I'm asking for a chance to rebuild. She paused at the door. I gave my statement to the ethics committee about your undercover work. I told them you acted with integrity throughout the investigation, even when it involved your daughter. Your job is safe. I don't care about the job, I said. I care about you. It's too late for that, she replied. Some things can't be fixed with a courtroom victory. After she left, Marcus found me still sitting in the conference room. Didn't go well? He asked gently. She testified to the ethics committee in my favor, I said, but wants nothing to do with me personally. Give her time, Melina. She's been through a lot. I shook my head. I've already given 7 years. I don't know how much more time there is. 2 weeks later, the jury returned with guilty verdicts on all counts. As the courtroom erupted, I caught Tara's eye across the room. For the first time, she didn't look away. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed around us. One thrust a microphone toward Tara. Miss Evans, how does it feel knowing your mother's investigation has vindicated you? Before she could answer, another reporter jumped in. Do you know who she is now? Not just your mother, but the judge who brought down this entire corrupt system? Tara looked at me for a long moment. I know exactly who she is, she said. She's a judge who doesn't stop fighting for justice, even when it's hard. Even when it costs her personally. She paused. That's something I'm still learning to do. It wasn't forgiveness or reconciliation. But as we walked down those courthouse steps, not together, but no longer completely apart, I realized it was something perhaps more important. Respect. And for now, that would have to be enough. Have you ever discovered that someone you thought you knew was fighting battles you never imagined? How did it change your perspective?